The 98. Tisha raised his head blankly. By now, the person telling the story had become Officer Li. My name is Li Shangwu. I'm from Inner Mongolia and I'm a criminal police officer, Officer Li said calmly. Before coming here, I was staking out a fraudster. I missed my chance. I clearly waited for that person, but then got into a scuffle with him during the earthquake. I was knocked unconscious by him and then came here. The originally long story had now been reduced to just 3 sentences. The stories told by everyone were not much different, but at this moment, Officer Li was behaving rather abnormally. Fortunately, only Tige remembered what had happened before. Criminal police! Xiao Ran exclaimed at this moment. You're a police officer. Why don't you try to save us? Because Officer Li paused for a moment. To be honest, I don't know how to lead everyone out. If there's such an opportunity, I'll definitely do my best. What kind of nonsense is that? Xiao Ran asked. But, you're a police officer. You should investigate on your own and figure out a way. Could it be that every time there's a homicide case, you can just close the case by saying, I don't know who the murderer is? It's different. Officer Li shook his head. The things I can do now are too limited. I can only try my best to keep everyone alive. Xiao Ran became more and more agitated and directly pointed at the Mongol beside them. Isn't this the murderer? Just arrest him. Enough. Tisha couldn't bear to watch any longer and interrupted. You've been yelling all the time. Isn't it annoying? Ko Yao Jiejin also nodded. Isn't the cop a human being? None of us can move now. Life and death are all in the hands of the Mengawat. What can you ask the cop to use to arrest him? You? Xiao Ran still wanted to argue a few more words, but suddenly saw Xia's cold eyes and then caught sight of Ko Jiejin's muscular tattered arm. Realized that these two men were not to be trifled with. She understood that people with such eyes were different from the police. She could always shout at the police, and the police would never dare to be rude. But these two men in front of her couldn't be provoked. I'm just as scared. Xiao Ran put on a wrong look, shook her head and said, Alas, maybe I trusted the police too much, being sarcastic and bullying the weak while fearing the strong. Cody, could it be that you're the liar who... So... Discord. How could that be? Xiao Ran shouted. How could I be the liar? Xiao nodded. Since you're not the liar, what's written on your card? Xiao Ran was just about to blurt it out, but suddenly froze. From beginning to end, the Mongol had never said what the identity cards other than... He had only said, "Did you draw the liar? You must tell lies." If she wanted to clear her suspicion, announce her identity in public. But what was written on the other identity? Truth teller, ordinary person, participant, or a blank card? Xiao Ran just felt her blood run cold and was so scared that she couldn't control herself. The young man in front of her was really too smart. With just one sentence, he had pushed her into an abyss. Also stared at Xiao Ran blankly at this moment, looking rather puzzled, since they began to suspect that Xiao Ran was the liar. The situation would become a bit complicated. According to the known rules, there was one and only one liar on the scene, and everyone thought that person was themselves. So theoretically, there couldn't be other liars, so they were now in a dilemma, all thinking about whether there would be a situation of multiple liars. Why should I tell you? Xiao Ran saw that the situation was not good and could only go on the defensive and argue. What if you're the liar and just want to get the answer from me? Kan Xiao nodded. You have a point. In that case, I'll bet with you. Yes. I'll count down. 3, 2, 1. You and I will shout out the words on our cards at the same time and let everyone here judge whose identity is made up. Tisha was ready to teach Xiao Ran a lesson. There was no need to keep this troublemaker around. This Xiao Ran was clearly hesitant. Kan Xiao sneered inwardly. If this was really a game with one and only one liar, she would surely die, because none of the people present knew what the other identity was. As long as Qizhao confidently said an identity, he would have already won. 3, 2. Qizhao started counting down with a cold expression, just as he was about to say, Dr. Xiao suddenly came out to smooth things over. Hey, forget it. Forget it. Tizhou turned to look at him. Brother, we can't make things difficult for a woman. I don't think either of you is the liar. If we really want to vote, ever wait until everyone has finished telling their story, Dr. Xiao said with an apologetic smile. Of course, convict Xiao ran of being the liar here. After all, a real answer was yet to be revealed. The later bamboo shoots after the rain game also required the joint efforts of 9 people. Xiao Ren couldn't die yet, so he agreed to Dr. Xiao's request. Alright, Tizhou nodded. As long as that woman stops pointing fingers at others, I have no objections. I didn't point fingers at anyone. Xiao Ran pouted, putting on a pitiful look. I'm just scared. Don't be afraid. I believe you, Dr. Xiao said with a smile beside her. After Officer Li finished telling his story, it was Lin Tian. She told the story of encountering an earthquake on the 26th floor of a high-rise building. Finally, it was Qi Xia's turn. Haozhong also told his story in full. When he finished, he couldn't help sighing. That time was really a wonderful thing. Everything that had happened before. When he told the story for the second time, there were still quite a few differences from the first time, including various grammar, word, and narrative order. But looking at the others, except for Officer Li, he clearly didn't know what had happened before. Their narrations were exactly the same as the last time. In that case, who was right? And who was after Tizhou also finished telling his story, Emango had announced that everyone entered a 20-minute free discussion time. Ito also asked the Mango for another blank piece of paper and wrote down the formula that he had written once before, word for word. What happened next was almost a matter of course. Tizhou led everyone to turn their attention to the Mango. Mango shot himself again, to everyone's astonishment.